Garry Kasparov, it is a privilege to be able to do one of these Fridays with Frank. I think you're going to be the smartest person I ever interviewed.
Come on,
And
Frank. Okay.
I'm
Stop flattering me.
I need to because I'm intimidated. And
We don't. We're not playing chess, So look, we're talking. So, and you're a much better talker than I'm.
yeah, but you were the number one chess player
Yeah,
for
I was
for
for a long time,
200.
long time. That was, yes, for nearly 2 decades.
Yes, and you held all these records for number of tournament victories, number of chess Oscars, which you didn't even know existed until I started to do the research. We're going to talk about human rights in general, and we're going to talk about Vladimir Putin in particular, because this has been your cause now for 2 decades. But I need to start with chess because that's how people know you. You started training when you were a child. And I've read the books, but our audience is not. What is it that attracted you to chess at such an incredibly young age?
I wish I knew. It was a match made in heaven at first sight. It was love for the rest of my life. I watched my parents trying to solve a chess puzzle in the Soviet newspaper. Many newspapers, both in Russia and outside of the world, outside of Russia, had these little chess columns. I'm not sure, what's happened, because nobody was there to tweet the moment. And just in one of the winter days, 68, 69, where I just first time looked at the chessboard. But very quickly I got really, excited about the game, learned the moves, even without being told how to move the pieces, made my suggestions. And I can say I was lucky because I believe we all have talents. It's not about having talent or not having talent. It's about, finding an opportunity to expose the talent. And yeah, I was a lucky boy, though of course it's the everything changed because of the tragedy in our family. My father died when I was 7 from leukemia, but before he died, he made a very important, it's faithful decision, saying that our son, he told my mother, he must do chess, not music, because my father was from a Jewish family. Everybody was a musician. My father was the only engineer, but he also graduated a violin class. So that's why music was, it's like an element of this, of Jewish tradition in this part of my family. My mother's Armenian. And my father recognized instantly that I had a different mind. So this is the way my brain worked. It was just probably was good for music, but he thought chess could be a perfect choice. He was right. And at age 7, I walked into a chess club in the Pioneer Palace in Baku, and I was accompanied by my uncle, because my mother was spending just all her hours with my father, was in agony, and my uncle recalled that the coach there just run out of the room, and told him, never seen such a talent in my life.
Did you know it? Did you feel it?
No, look, it's not about feeling. It's just I knew I was happy, because this is important when you do something and you are passionate about it. You love the game. You want to get deeper and deeper. And now, 50 years later, this is the. I'm still a happy man when I look at the chessboard, when I move the chess pieces. I know I'm an amateur. I do chess occasionally in just online tournaments, or I go to St. Louis, Missouri, just to play in the St. Louis Chess Club. That's now like unofficial capital of world of chess world. But I'm still passionate about the game. And from day one, I knew it was not just about winning, but that's what I learned from my mother. It was also about making the difference. So that's what helped me throughout my chess life. And even today, 15 years after I left professional chess, I'm a happy man, because I know that everything I do, should make a contribution. It was chess Now it could be human rights. I can do lectures, talking about human-machine collaboration, about decision-making. But I'm always looking for an opportunity to bring something new, to share what I know with others, and to create, call it value, intellectual value.
So what is it? I've heard it said about chess, and I've heard it said about golf, that it brings happiness until it destroys you. What is it about chess? Is it the strategy? Is it the different look of the pieces? Is it the fact that you can start the same way and it ends up differently? It makes you happy. Why? It frustrates me.
Look, I'm sure you have other things that can make you happy, and I'm pretty sure I can start counting things that made me, very frustrated, because I don't know how to draw. I mean, I look at my daughter, who's really good in just drawing some kind of paintings, and she's really good. I don't know, for me it was always, very frustrating, just to do some drawing in my school. Let me repeat, it's all about us, recognizing what we're good at, and developing it, and just making our contribution to the world. And I traveled around the world extensively, and I can tell you, you can see so much talent, and unfortunately the opportunity is not there to help these kids, especially from developing countries, to demonstrate what their real potential are.
Why are the Russians so good at chess?
Again, you always go back in history. The Soviet Union was a dominant force in chess for many reasons, but the main one, we had very little else to accomplish. So in the Soviet Union, all parents wanted their kids to succeed, and they had few avenues to explore: sport, chess, math, ballet, music. No business, no law. So it's no real politics. So there were so many opportunities that were available for kids elsewhere in the world, in the free world. They were not our options. So that's why we saw so many kids, being tested in chess and music. And if you have 5 million kids being tested in a chess network, you will have many world champions. It's just about numbers. It's not about Russia being special country, actually Soviet Union at the time, with great talents. And if you have only 50,000 kids playing chess in between Chicago and New York, you're lucky to have one Bobby Fischer in every 50 years. By the way, today when you look at the top young players, Russia is one of many, and the United States has many, probably more strong teenagers than Russia, just because of the sheer numbers. It's all about opportunities and about parents being behind their kids. Now in America, for instance, the last 25 years, you could see it's quite a shift, demographic shift. Chess being a game dominated by Jews, many immigrants from the Soviet Union, second generation, and now it's a game dominated by Asians, mainly Chinese, and some Indians as well. So because their parents want their kids to succeed, you go to top US events and you'll find that most of the leading players, both male and female, they're Chinese, actually American-born, first generation, English first language, but Chinese. I'm not here just to make some conclusions and just to come up with some big theories. I'm simply stating the facts. And I think it's very much dictated by the culture of the family that want kids to succeed, because they're not just Chinese, from one region. You're talking about kids, from New Jersey, Wisconsin, Alabama, Texas, California. Some families are well off, some families are struggling, but they're all, first generation American-born Chinese kids. I think it's just, it's the fact is that, when you look at Jewish kids, many of them just, are not being motivated by their parents because they believe that there are other things to do. Some more profitable, more interesting, and that's why you don't have the same influx of great Jewish players as we used to have ages ago.
When you were a child, it was not the same environment for someone who was Jewish in the Soviet Union. Did you ever face discrimination because of your father's religion?
Look, I was born in Baku. I always tell people, I was born in the deep south, right next to Georgia, which is the Republic of Azerbaijan, right next to the Republic of Georgia, and it was deep south of the USSR. I was half Jewish, half Armenian. My father died, and I grew up with my grandfather and on my mother's side. And eventually, they changed my name from Weinstein to Kasparov. Though in Azerbaijan, being an Armenian was quite, was not a great privilege, because of the relations within this Baku's society. Though I didn't feel it so much, because in our family, actually, we never had these problems. My mother had two sisters. She married a Jew. She was the eldest sister. Second sister married an Armenian, and the third one married an Azeri. So, and we all spoke Russian. Russian was our family language. But at the same time, I knew that it's the being half Armenian, half Jewish from Baku was a great disadvantage when I had to challenge Anatoly Karpov, who was not only ethnic Russian but also a very loyal party soldier. And I think that at the beginning of my quest for the world title, the many Soviet authorities in the center, in Moscow, they could sense that something was wrong with me, not just because I was half Armenian, half Jewish, but also because I was a rebel. I just, I didn't want to accept the realities of this, of Soviet cynicism and hypocrisy, and they could sense, it's like an animal instinct, that something was wrong, and the first moment I would when I would have a chance, I could become a real rebel. And they were right, by the way. Just the moment I became world champion, I just recognized that it's time for me to raise my voice, because as a world champion, I could feel that I was somehow protected by the sacred status of the best chess player in the world.
So I got to ask you, right now, are you an American citizen now?
No, I'm not. I still have a Russian passport, though it's expired, and you can guess why I decided not to go to the Russian consulate to extend it. I'm traveling on my Croatian passport. I've been a big friend of this great country from the early days of the independence. I've been supporting Croatians, and in 2014, when I had to leave Russia, the Croatian government made a big decision to grant me Croatian citizenship to help me. My wife also got the Croatian citizenship, but she also, she's Russian as well. But she just recently became an American citizen. So in our family, with my wife and two kids, I'm the only un-American so far.
Which is strange.
But by the way, I'm a taxpayer. I paid taxes to Uncle Sam for many years.
Well, that's more than Donald Trump can say.
Yes, exactly.
Now I'm going to disappear in an hour.
Yeah.
I did not realize that you weren't an American citizen, because I know you have a place in New York.
Well, I live in New York. I'm a green card holder, and it's a legitimate green card. I can also emphasize. So, and I'm living in New York permanently since 2013. Though we have been going back and forth in New York since we married in 2005.
So next year, when the Olympics are played in Japan, will you root for the Russians, the Americans, or the Croats?
I don't know. When there was the soccer World Cup in Russia, I was rooting for Croatians, I have to say. Yeah, because it's very difficult for me to root for Russians, because unfortunately, in Putin's Russia, as in every dictatorship, sport is made, just a part of the propaganda machine. And I hate saying that Putin, has been using sport as a tool to promote his popularity. So that's why instinctively, while I feel sympathy, because I probably, some say, the most decorated Soviet Russian athlete, because in the Soviet Union and Russia, chess has been considered a sport. So probably I'm more decorated than any other athlete in history of Soviet and Russian sport. But still, it didn't stop Russian authorities to exclude my name from the book that was published in 2015 with the best athletes who came out of the Spartak club. I belonged to this club since 1976, but my name just has disappeared. So again, that's what dictators always do. They just they erase people from the books. But I was lucky. They could erase me only from the book because I was already too far away for them to be caught. And I don't know. I try to stay above these nationalistic feelings. So I would if I watch soccer World Cup or ice hockey or any other game, I just try to enjoy it. And I always enjoy and I admire great professionalism, and I don't mind what flag this player he or she is wearing.
So I'm starting to load up on questions, and there's only one more chess question I'm going to ask you. This is from a California congressman. Why did you retire? You had made chess into a spectator sport. You brought money and sponsorship to the game. You were a rock star at the end, and all the way through. Why'd you give it up?
I already probably answered this question. It was all about making the difference. At age 41, when I retired, I was still on the top of the world of chess, the best player. But so what's next? Because the whole life has a meaning when you can just keep making contribution. So it's always trying to improve yourself. I thought I already exhausted my ability to make changes in the world of chess. And also I feel that it was time for me to move elsewhere. And the rise of Vladimir Putin and KGB dictatorship in Russia, was another challenge that I believe, required my immediate attention.
So now this is from a CEO in the technology industry. How do you go from being the world's greatest chess champion to Vladimir Putin's greatest enemy?
No, I would say greatest enemy. Now we know the story with Alexei Navalny. Now we know the story with Mikhail Khodorkovsky. But definitely, my name is probably making top 5 of the list of Putin's enemies, and that doesn't make me feel happy, and that makes my family quite concerned about my well-being. Look, I did what I believe was right. I always said that when I was campaigning in Russia, it was not about winning elections. It's about trying to make elections work. It's about having elections, because I saw it from day one. When Putin appeared, on the Russian political stage, that he was an ultimate threat, a real menace, not just to Russian democracy, but to the rest of the world. Because I had my trained Soviet ear, and when I saw a former KGB guy who just was a prime minister at the time speaking at Lubyanka, at the KGB headquarters, to his former colleagues and saying once KGB always KGB, that was a warning sign. When I heard him talking as the just newly sworn president of Russia, that the collapse of the Soviet Union was the greatest geopolitical catastrophe of the 20th century, I heard it loud and clear. When I heard him, when I saw him signing into the law one of the first, decrees, the return of the Soviet anthem, I knew that, was not just a symbol. Russia is a country of symbolism. That the guy had a very different vision of the world from mine, and sooner or later he would extend his evil touch beyond Russian borders. But for many, many years, I've been shouting in the desert. People didn't want to hear that. It was people like me or late Boris Nemtsov, the former deputy prime minister of Boris Yeltsin, the man who was shot in 2015 because he was too proud to leave Moscow, and he kept, fighting Putin in Russia. Actually, he advised me to leave Russia, not to end as badly as him, but he stayed. So we always said that it's just a matter of time before Putin, as every dictator, would cross the border and start attacking other countries.
So I got a question from Howard Marks, and we're going to take it a little bit broader now. What was Russia's role in 2016? I know you've looked at it, and what do you think they're trying to do for 2020?
They're trying to do now the same as it did in 2016. I'm not here to analyze, the strange affection that Trump has to Putin, but I can tell you by reading Russian press and looking at Putin's body language, they want Trump. And I'm not here just to analyze why. I just, met enough KGB lieutenant colonels in my life to know the body language when they talk. Putin looks, for most of the world leaders, if not for all, with contempt, because he believes he can buy all of them. He is the man who controls more money than any individual in human history. But when he looks at Trump, it's different. It's like, it's a handler looking at his assets. I'm not here just to tell you that that's a fact.
Hold on.
No, I'm telling you. No, you're asking my opinion. I'm just telling you. I saw Putin talking to Trump on many occasions, and that's the way he looks at him. And trust me, I met enough KGB guys in my life. And today, Russian propaganda is just, is doing absolutely everything, to support Trump. You can just ask, Russians who live in America. They keep receiving the regular mail. Warning them against mail vote, that it will be stolen, telling them why Democrats are bad because they will restore socialism and bring them back to the Soviet Union. I'm not going to vote. I'm not an American, but I'm really concerned about the future of this great country, because without American leadership, and leadership is based on your moral strength and reputation, the whole world goes bust.
So does anyone, I'm going to use exact words because we can get away with that here. Gabe Aram says, who has the balls anywhere to stand up for Putin, to Putin?
Look, I do what I believe is right. So I grew up learning from Soviet dissidents. Do what you must and so be it. And I saw great examples of Andrei Sakharov, of Nathan Sharansky. And yes, we're all taking risks. But, I have more opportunities now to raise my voice. And it seems that these days, more and more people recognize that Putin is not just a threat to Russia. It's like a cancer that just, can't stay in one body. It just goes around, it kills one cell and then goes to another cell. And hopefully the murder attempt of Alexei Navalny, another brave man who stayed in Russia and fought Putin's corruption, and it was another chemical attack against him. It could be the last drop, because even Europeans now that always try to ignore Putin's crimes, now they recognize that it's too much for them to swallow.
I'm being asked, text by someone who has met you before, aren't you afraid that you yourself will be a victim of Vladimir Putin?
Would it help? Yeah, if I say no, it will not be an honest answer. But so what can I do? There's no way, you can escape on this planet. So I don't drink tea with strangers. I try to just have elementary precautions. But at the end of the day, even the United States president, cannot be safe if somebody is really going after him.
And why do you do it? Why you say yourself, you're not in Russia, you're a Croatian citizen, you have a residency and a green card in America. Why provoke someone who's clearly prepared to kill?
Look, I cannot sit and wait and just play a little bit of chess, do Kasparov Chess Foundation, and talk about future of human-machine collaboration. That's good life, I can make a few money here and there. I could be a business consultant, but I believe I have to make the difference. And I think the world now is just, lost its way. We don't have a game plan. The free world now is just, is walking in the darkness. The world that has been built after World War II by Harry Truman, following, Winston Churchill's recommendations, and enhanced by successful American administrations until Ronald Reagan eventually killed communism. This world is no longer there. It's dead, and we have to do something else. We need to show the past into the future. We have to restore America's image as a beacon of hope. But Vladimir Putin is an existential threat to the free world, because he found so many ways of using our technology. When I say our, it's the free world invented technology to undermine the very foundation of our freedom. And if I want us to succeed, and when I say us, it's humanity led by the free world, I have no other choice but fighting Putin.
I'm asked a question. This is a great question here. Alexei Yurchov's groundbreaking book, Everything Was Forever Until It Was No More, speaks to the sudden and unexpected demise of the Soviet Union. I'm not going to ask you about Russia now. I'm going to ask you about America. You worry that the great American experiment will follow the path of everything seems forever until it is suddenly no more?
Look, I think that America now just is going through a very difficult period because if you're just, if you're wandering around without a game plan, people, they could get some crazy ideas. And I think that's one of the challenges in America today is a fight between those who believe that America, was built as the shining city on a hill, built, as a promised land. And while America had sins and ills throughout its history, it was a fundamentally sound and a state for good. And on the other side, you have people who believe that American foundation was evil, and I cannot accept it. I'm a good scholar of history, and I'm happy to see America, just reckoning with its past and just improving. But I'm getting really frustrated when I hear people, trying to undermine American accomplishments, because America is the only country that had a steady path towards progress. It was bumpy road, but according to every other country in the world, it was steady. You could see that, just America looked at the problem. Sometimes it was as horrible as slavery and just many others, but eventually it cured them by itself without foreign intervention. And no other country. Maybe you can talk about United Kingdom, but immediately people will say, what about British Empire and colonialism? So that's you have plenty of sins on that side as well. But still, Anglo-American civilization, eventually created a world of phenomenal prosperity. People are just enjoying now the living standards that were unheard. The number of people living in poverty and in tough conditions kept decreasing. Okay, maybe during pandemics it's increased, but you look at the trend, it's a brand new world, and thanks to free market, thanks to liberal democracy, to the values of the free world, we are now living in a world where people could exercise their potential without in the free world, without any limitations. The problem is that the free world lost its spirit of exploration and its willingness to take risk and to push forward its agenda. Because risk means that you can fail. And we know that in America now, kids in the schools, they've been taught that failure is nothing but failure. I always looked at it differently. Failure is the only way to learn.
I've always found all my lessons, 100% of the things that I have actually learned in life have come from mistakes that I've made, failures that I've had. All I know about success is that it just happens. Failure is what prepares me for success. Lily Wang talks about the Magnitsky Act. Oh God, I can't say that word. And that the problem with that is that sanctioning Russia does not necessarily touch Putin. Is there anything that can be done to defang Putin in general and to remove his money in particular?
It's the question actually contains an answer. Touch Putin. I believe that American intelligence, alongside with intelligence from other countries, they have a pretty good idea where Putin's money is being kept through different wallets controlled by the oligarchs and his cronies. So go after them. Make sure that this money will be hunted. Make sure that this money will not make its way into American or European political system, financial system. Make sure this money will not be used to buy soccer club, basketball clubs, finding its way to be integrated into social life of the free world. Make it pointed at Putin and his cronies and their families, because if you put one Russian oligarch in the sanctions list, but his wife, his kids, and his lovers and his other relatives, could go around, spreading his foundations and keeping the money intact. He doesn't care. It's inconvenience. But if he knows that he will be hunted by United States machine and European institutions, I think maybe they will just start, reconsidering their ties to Putin.
So I got to ask you this, and I don't know if this is dumb for me to ask, and I'm sure I'll get commentary by the people who are listening. Why does Putin go around without his shirt? What's he communicating with that?
What do you mean?
He always likes to have his pictures of him with his shirt off. It's
oh, look, this is the no. It's not. You're probably referring to a couple of pictures, but it's dictators. They always need to exuberate confidence, because Putin knows instinctively. I don't think he read many books, but instinctively understands that dictatorship is based on beliefs of his own inner circle and people, his subjects and the rest of the world. It's unbroken belief in his invincibility. The moment they feel weakness, it's like, the mafia boss. They can go after him. So this is one of the ways to show that he's so strong that he can defy everything, including his own age. And defiance is a very important element of Putin's strategy, and he did it very well with the Obama administration. And just it's the way they just they treated Obama administration, especially John Kerry, who was the Secretary of State during Obama's second term, and was a clear demonstration that Putin almost just laughed at their face. Whatever they said, you went the opposite way. And saving Bashar al-Assad in Syria was one of the biggest PR coup for Putin. I say PR because Obama said Assad must go. Putin said, Assad stays. Who won? Whereas Obama and Assad is still in Damascus. So, and that's the big message. It's not only for other dictators. One of the reasons Maduro is still there, because Maduro believes Putin. If Assad, would be taken away, Maduro would not be there as well. But since Putin succeeded in saving the butcher of Damascus, other dictators say, why not? If Putin is behind me, who's going to touch me? But also it sent a message to many Russians, men and women of influence, even if they had some ideas about Putin's craziness and about the way that has been handling the country. No one dares to attack a dictator who looks strong. He doesn't have to be strong. He looks strong, and we know it from history. There were many conspiracies against Adolf Hitler, but the only one that almost succeeded was after D-Day, after the Allied troops landed in Normandy, and they failed to throw them back into the sea when the German generals recognized the war was lost. So it's very important to actually destroy the image of this aura of invincibility, and to send a message that Putin is not as strong as he pretends, because he's bluffing. He doesn't have a strong hand. He just has enough money to bluff, and unfortunately the opposition in the free world always is folding their cards.
So the President of the United States is the leader of the free world. Just in terms of dealing with Putin, which one do you think is going to be more effective, Donald Trump or Joe Biden?
Oh, look, it's I wish I had a better list, but right, it's looking at these two, my answer is just because I think Trump is horrible, and the way he has been dealing with Putin and his and American NATO allies, offers me no confidence. I believe that if Trump is reelected, he would basically abandon NATO and will just, give Putin green light to attack Eastern Europe. Biden would not be my first choice, but so it's his latest statement on Putin. I think yesterday he called him opponent. Russia as an opponent. I already tweeted about it, saying, "Okay, come on, Joe. You were in the Senate with Scoop Jackson, so you can use a stronger language. Calling enemy an enemy." But I hope that Democratic Party will not be hijacked by far left, and there will be some common sense recognizing that Putin is a threat. But I want to actually emphasize that the problem is not Donald Trump or Joe Biden. The problem is that since the end of the Cold War, America lost its strategic vision of the world. From Harry Truman to Ronald Reagan, the plan was to stop communism, to its policy of containment, and eventually to defeat it. From 1991, what is the plan? There's no plan. You know, it's everything dependent on the president of the United States. The person in the Oval Office was changing foreign policy the way he wanted. Bill Clinton went one way, you know, just missing many opportunities to enhance American agenda and come up with a new plan. W probably did too much. Obama did almost nothing. Then now we have Trump. America has to recover, you know, the consistency of foreign policy. It's not about Biden, Trump. It's about It's about people in the world recognizing that whoever is in the White House, there are certain things America will never trade off. And unfortunately, right now, this after so many years of this very questionable leadership from both parties, the world lost any faith in America because they know Putin is there, and Putin will not let his the dictators' bodies down. They know China is there, and China is very consistent, and America is not there because America is not consistent. You have Trump tomorrow, Biden, or just in 6 weeks, 7 weeks, Biden wins. There will be another administration, and they don't know what to expect. It's the consistency was America's strengths, and I hope that we'll see the return of this consistency, not just to go back, but actually to go into the future, extending American leadership as it's worked in the 20th century.
So I'm also asked this from Jamie Richardson. What's the perspective of young people in Russia? Do they see a future without Putin?
Yes, they see the future without Putin by leaving our country. It's one of the highest, if not the highest rate of immigration since 1917. People are running, literally running from Russia because they see no future. Russia is a mixture of feudal country and a mafia structure. So you cannot make it through. So there's no social elevators that could bring you on top if you're talented, because many of the positions now are taken by the second generations of Putin nomenclatura. Unless Putin regime collapses soon, I think Russia will be downgraded to the second-rate country.
You have started a number of human rights organizations. You lead a number of human rights organizations. If you look at the world in 2020 compared to, say, 10 years ago, are we headed in the right direction, or are we off on the wrong track when it comes to human rights?
We were definitely heading in the wrong direction for many years. And any data that one can collect on democracy and human rights and economic freedom of press, indicated that, you know, democracy, the free world has been losing ground steadily. And it's not just, you know, it's on the world map, but also psychologically, people have been losing faith in the advantages of free world. I'm not even talking now about undemocratic countries. When you look at the number of millennials in America, more than 1/3, you know, they have favorable view of communism. It's insane, and this is something that, you know, that was always my greatest concern, because we knew when I grew up in the Soviet Union that there was the United States. It was for us the beacon of hope, and today, trust me, as the chairman of Human Rights Foundation, I talk to people from all over the world. We are dealing with defectors from North Korea, from female activists from Afghanistan or other countries where, you know, fighting for female rights is slightly different from leading Me Too in California. From gay activists in African countries where, you know, it's a death penalty for if you're coming out. So for freedom fighters to Venezuela. So I talk to people, and they still look at America as the beacon of hope. They revere America as the country that, you know, it's the best chance for us to have a better life. And I hope, and I'm incorrigible optimist by nature, but now I would say I'm more cautious in my optimism, that the last couple of years we are seeing the trend that is changing. I could see that the regimes, like Putin's regimes, they're weakening. What is happening in Belarus, it's the Russian neighbor, is very encouraging. When you have hundreds of thousands of people in a relatively small country of 10 million protesting every weekend against Belarus dictator who has been propped out by Putin. And people just, they don't want to be subdued by dictators. And I hope that this trend will be strengthened. But still, even with all these positive vibrations from different parts of the world, without leadership, and when I say leadership, I have to say without American leadership, it will be very difficult to actually bring all these energies together to move world in the right direction.
I'm going to digress for 1 second because Ben Purdy has asked something I'll be curious to see. I actually want to be able to see you when I ask the question, so I'm going to remove. After the last match against the IBM supercomputer, you were pretty pissed off.
Yeah, I was. Oh, wow. Yes.
Why were you so mad? I mean, you lost to human beings on occasion, rarely. You won over 99% of your matches. Why did that IBM computer make you so angry? You went on Larry King. You were really agitated.
Look, thanks for mentioning human matches. Yeah, and I have to say that the match I lost to IBM supercomputer, after, by the way, winning the first one in '96 in Philadelphia, it was the first match of several games that I lost in my chess career, period. Whether humans, machines, the first match I lost. It's after 12 years of being world champion and having the best record in the history of the game, losing the match, it was painful. Also, I was pissed off because it's not just IBM, but because I actually did not insist on certain regulations that could, make me feel better during the match. I'm not here, just to say what they did or, what I suspected they did, because at the end of the day, it's water under the bridge. And I already
what do you think they did to make this unfair?
Oh no! This is the rules were they were quite unfair, starting from the fact that I had no access to the games of my opponent, and I cannot blame anybody but myself, because after match in 1996, where I experienced problems since Deep Blue was it's built in the lab, and it's just I never had access to the games. And when I played other computer programs, by the way, I could see all the games they played, from the day they introduced the first version of this chess engine to the last one I was facing at a certain point. And I said I would like to have this access to the games, the IBM games, in 1997 match. And they said, absolutely. Yeah, and it wasn't the rules, but you always have to read the fine print. And the fine print said, okay, only the games played in official tournaments. And you can guess, Deep Blue hasn't played a single game in official tournaments. All the games were played in the labs behind closed doors. And also the way that the machine has been operated, cost, even if they did nothing, it still, put me in great disadvantage, because I'm human, and I was quite affected by the fact that they could do whatever they wanted, because there was no real control of the machine from outside. Ken Thompson, the father of Unix, he was watching the screen, but he could not see whether the machine's reload was forced by the operator or requested by a computer. And by the way, if machine crashes, you can say it's a heart attack. The game is over. So it crashed at least 3 times in this match, and whether it crashed, I don't know. I'm not here to tell you, that there were so many suspicious things. Like 10 years later, one of the Spanish grandmasters who worked with Deep Blue said that all of a sudden, in the morning of the last game, he was asked by the head of their team to analyze the opening that I never played in my life, never before, never after, and I played it in this game. Okay, I don't know why. So there's no indication that I ever would play this opening, but they just somehow they decided to look at this opening. But it's. I have been thinking for just for many years whether it was a curse or a blessing. Now I think it was a blessing because I learned a lot, but also I have my experience now. And when I tell people that they have to be optimists about human-machine collaboration, when I tell people that we should not be afraid of the Terminators and all this Hollywood's BS, I have my right to say that because even if I sound callous, people know I was the first knowledge worker who had his job threatened by a computer.
Yeah, well, maybe you're the first worker to ever lose their job because
no. I never lost my job. This is something that also helped me to understand. It's not about just winning or losing. It's about understanding what's next. And I spend a lot of time analyzing the outcome of the match, ruminating. So what I did wrong and licking my wounds. But I just realized that it was time to reconsider our relations with computers. You can't beat them, join them. So that was my attitude. And next year I came up with the concept called advanced chess, human plus machine facing human plus machine. So bringing together human intuition, human creativity, and machines brute force, and it's number crunching. And now in business, it's a standard formula. And I've been working on developing this formula in chess. And I came up with something that has been called Kasparov's law when I found out that it was not just about strengths of the human, talent of a human, or speed of the machine, but it's about the interface. It's about process. Superior process is more important than the speed of the computer or the talent of a human player, and that's being proven in many businesses.
So I owe you an apology. I've been criticized by a couple of people of bringing up the game that you lost against the machine.
No. Look, it's like you have to lose. We talked about it. You have to make a mistake and learn from that. And I'm quite pleased, because look, it would be worse if you try to flatter me without asking tough questions. As I told you before we started our conversation, I'm not a politician. I'm not running for an office. I'm not anything to hide. So, and I'm not trying to measure my answers and to waffle.
Then you need to run for president, please. We need help with that.
What country?
Pick them. We're all a mess, all across the country. How do you beat a computer? Because that's what happened the year before. How can the human brain beat? This is beyond anything that I can understand.
No. Let's look. Again, what is a computer? Computer is something designed by humans to analyze number of positions and to come up with suggestions, solutions. But chess is you may call it mathematically infinite game. So von Neumann would disagree because technically there's a number. According to Claude Shannon, is 10 to the power of 46. Yeah, but this number is just beyond human reach and beyond any computer reach in any time in the universe. But still it's technically is a limited number of moves. But machine can see as far, and it's all about humans. At certain point, outsmarting the machine because machine's depth is not enough to overcome human intuition. We played with computers before Deep Blue, and I played with them with the blitz chess, the rapid chess, 5 minutes chess, 25 minutes chess, and we kept playing until 2005. In 2005, the competition was over because machines were so much better. Today, the gap between a computer and I'm not talking about super IBM computer. It's about chess engine you can buy and put on your laptop. And Magnus Carlsen, our sitting world champion, is the same as between Usain Bolt and Ferrari. There's no competition. And by the way, it happens not only in chess, it happens everywhere. In every game, whether it's chess, shogi, Japanese chess, Go, Texas Hold'em poker, video games like Dota, because machines will always dominate in the closed system. And every game is a closed system. No matter how many options are there, even if there's element of bluff, it's still about statistics. And machines winning Not because machines know better how to play the game. They actually don't know they're playing the game. For a simple reason, they make fewer mistakes. And that's something that I think these many people just don't recognize. You cannot expect machine to perform 100%. When people say, oh, driverless cars are not good because they still make accidents. Yes, they do, and they will ever do, because there's no 100% perfection in the universe. But they will make fewer mistakes. The problem is, if driverless cars has an accident, it's the front page of a newspaper. The fact is that 40,000 people being killed on American roads every year, it's statistics. So as the moment we recognize that we're asking from our computers to improve human performance, we just recognize that our role is different. What machines cannot do and will not be able to do, according to my limited knowledge, is to transfer the data from one closed system to another closed system. That's where humans come in. We just have to, to limit our, pride, and to recognize that we will be responsible for 1, 2, 3% of the decision-making process, leaving the remaining 97% or so to the machines. And we have to enhance our creativity. We have to become more human. One of the studies, I think from McKinsey, shows that in the U.S. Job market, 96% of jobs just do not require medium human creativity. They actually said 4% of working time require medium human creativity. That means this 96% of jobs, they're already dead. It's like, the zombie jobs. They're dead, they just don't know yet that they already died. So, instead of training people to act like machines, what we have been doing for decades, we just have to start thinking, what is our role, human role, in the human-machine collaboration in the future?
By the way, the actor Richard Dreyfuss, who has been chatting to the side here, earlier he asked if he could play a game with you. I guess he's
retired. I'm retired.
So I guess the answer is no.
Yeah, but I have to say that I'm extremely cautious playing online, because you have to be sure you play not a human, not an engine.
2 last questions, and then we'll call it a Friday afternoon. What comes after Putin? If we're on the same path for the next 20 years, next 10 years, what will the world look like if we don't push him aside or he doesn't leave?
War. Putin cannot live without another war. So if he survives in the next couple of years, he'll have to attack neighboring countries. Russian economy is in tatters. Things are getting worse and worse. People are, just on the verge of, explosion. Belarus is an indicator that it will not last forever. We also have Khabarovsk, Russian Far East, that is protesting, and they cannot subdue it. So Putin will need war, and he will keep attacking the free world, starting with neighboring countries, but going elsewhere. And if he survives, yeah, trust me, it's like living and spreading cancer.
And after he dies, Jeffrey, I'm asking you a question now. After he dies, then what happens?
Look, I hope that we'll get rid of him before he dies, because he's not that old. And I know that dictators, look at Mugabe, for instance, in Zimbabwe. They manage to live long lives, and it's very important that the free world takes him out of Kremlin, and just make sure that his rule is not indefinite. Because if we don't do it soon enough, again, the price always goes up. That's something that people don't recognize. In 1935, you could stop Hitler with almost no efforts. In 36, 37, 38. So there's always a time. But because it looks tough, because it looks that you have to make a sacrifice, people always postpone decisions. And the rule is the price always goes up.
So then, to the members of Congress who are on this video chat right now, what advice do you have them over the next 5-6 months in terms of the policies that they might promote, in terms of decisions that they themselves have within their power? Particularly, we've got 3 senators on here. What do they need to do to make America more successful from a foreign policy perspective, address human rights, which you've been doing so admirably for so long, and basically stand up to the leader of Russia?
Look, restoring American leadership is paramount. It's a number one priority. because I believe that without leadership, nothing happens. Europe is waking up, but still American leadership is so badly needed to show the way into the future. It's not just about Putin. Don't forget there's China, there is Iran, there are many other places where the authoritarian ideological enemies of the free world, thugs and terrorists, they run the shows. And America has to demonstrate that it's not just selecting places on the map. Oh, Trump does this or Biden will do this. No, America stands there as the force for good. And it will encourage people around the world to rise against dictators and just to start building new world. And for members of the House or senators, there's so many legislations that you can make. I mean, one is just related to Belarus. I know is being now on the desk of several senators. It's time to send message to Putin that his body in Belarus, Lukashenko, is not being recognized. By the way, Europe already did it, and whatever he does, whatever he signs, is not going to work. But the most important thing is a tough, hellish sanctions against Putin's oligarchs. And now Navalny case, this poisoning, offers great opportunity for America to join European allies and to send the message, not just to Putin, forget about him, to his oligarchs, that unless they abandon him, they will pay dearly.
Garry, you're incredible. So I've got a camera above me, but I want to actually look down. Looks like I'm looking down. I believe because of you. I believe that I've seen the books that you've written, that I now need to get my students to read them, because I think it'll help give them a path. It'll help them teach how to think, how to operate, how to lose, and more importantly, I guess, how to win. And I am concerned for you. I would ask you.
Thank you, my friend.
Do not go anywhere near the Russian border. Do not drink.
Well, I'm in Croatia. Yes, I'm in Croatia. So it's hopefully far enough. And now with the pandemics, we don't travel as much as we used to.
Well, Garry, please be safe when you come back to the States. I want to come visit you. And
it will be easy.
You're all grateful for your participation today.
Thank you.
And everyone's still on. I will be interviewing Bob Woodward, who's got the #1 selling book in the country, Monday. You should have gotten that invitation. It's not Fridays with Frank. It'll be Mondays with Frank. But I urge you to come on as well. Garry, thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.